What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the No Name Podcast. It's your boy Young Rich. You already know we back here again. And today, obviously, Monday Night Football just ended. Trevor Lawrence gets injured. We're going to discuss that a little bit later. Obviously, Cincinnati comes in and gets the upset. Jake Browning comes out here and plays absolutely phenomenal. But before we get any of that, again, as always, I want to appreciate the support that I've been getting, the views I've been getting, and everyone's been supporting me, doing what I enjoy doing. So I appreciate that. First things first, Price Picks has not been doing great with the plays that I have been sharing, but today was a good day. Jake Browning over 219 passing yards, hit. Joe Mixon over 19 and a half receiving yards, hit. Travis Etienne, anytime touchdown, hit. Okay, Jamar Chase over receiving yards, hit. All right, 4 plays that I had that I didn't want to share. All right, just because I wasn't sure. You know, you got to get a little confidence going. You just got to get rolling. And I was just 0 for 3, and I was actually going 1 for 2 every single day. But obviously, if you don't hit both, it doesn't matter, especially when you're power playing stuff. So going forward, obviously, I'm gonna try to be maybe show some more picks, let you guys pick from and decide what you like and what you don't. But if you want to see day to day, picks of the day and things of that nature, go follow my TikTok at the No Name Podcast. The link will be in the description below. Go show love to that. Again, appreciate all the love on TikTok. So that does be going crazy sometimes. It's been doing good so far. But with that being said, let's get right into it. I got a lot of things I want to talk about and get off my plate. And yeah, let's get right into it. First things first, and I heard shout out to Nick Wright and First Things First in that group. I heard him talking about it the other day. They asked the question, is Dak Prescott an elite QB? All right. And then we started throwing some other names out there, the likes of Lamar Jackson, the Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes, the Jalen Hurts, and all these, Trevor Lawrence, and these guys who are young, but they're playing well at a high level and consistently been playing at a high level, and they kind of have a big number of elite QBs in this discussion. And me personally, I am all about, and there are very few elite QBs in the NFL. Elite QB to me is someone you can rely on to get you a playoff win. Elite QB to me is someone who's been doing it for a decent amount of time. It's not a one-year wonder. They're consistently making it to the playoffs. They're consistently winning playoff games. They're winning big games. They have the ability to elevate their team. They have the ability to make those fourth quarter comebacks, second half comebacks, and just with them on your team, you are always going to have a chance to win, no matter the circumstance, no matter the situation. And it's not that any of these QBs aren't top 5 or even so a lot of these QBs have great numbers this year. For Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, 2 of those, both in the MVP discussion. But again, I do not consider them elite. Just because of the fact that they just are inconsistent when it comes to the playoffs, right? Regular season stuff, great. You can become a great player. You can become a well-respected player throughout your career, right? But at the end of the day, when you're a quarterback, the one thing that matters is the postseason. You have to go on a deep playoff run consistently. You have to make it to the Super Bowl. You have to make that appearance. You have to show that you're good enough to get there. You have to show that you're good enough to win it. All right. Obviously, it's a team game. So some QBs, their journey is different than others. It takes longer or it's quicker, and different QBs have different opportunities based on the defenses, the coaches, how they draft, how they develop guys. All of this plays into making a great team. But when we start getting into elite quarterbacks, I believe there's a clear-cut 4, and that is it. 4 elite QBs in the NFL, and these are guys who on a consistent basis, year in and year out, since they've gotten here, have just been game changers. Okay, and first things first, Aaron Rodgers. If he wasn't hurt today, this New York Giants team would be a scary team in the AFC. That AFC East could be looking very different right now if they were healthy and they still had Aaron Rodgers to play. Garrett Wilson could be having a monster year that we all expected him to have. Breece Hall could be having a better year with the fact that playing alongside Aaron Rodgers is going to make everything easier. All right, but Aaron Rodgers, he's won the Super Bowl. He's got the MVPs. He's got the playoff wins. You could always rely on him to win a couple playoff games and go on a deep playoff run. Is he a winner? Is he gonna, is he someone that you look at is gonna win you a Super Bowl or make it to the Super Bowl every year? No, he hasn't been, and I never thought he was. But again, you still have to respect the fact that he's consistently always making it to the playoffs. He's always a top seed. He always is going to have that home field advantage feeling. He's always in that MVP discussion. He plays winning football. He leads one of the best offenses year in and year out. All right, and you can't take away the fact that he's already won a Super Bowl. Yes, it maybe happened earlier in his career, but since then his numbers didn't decline. You got to the playoffs, and you were still able to look at Aaron Rodgers and say you can go to war with him. All right, you could have confidence saying I'm going to ride with Aaron Rodgers and we're going to go chase his Super Bowl. That was the goal every single year. All right, and he met those standards. He wasn't. I'm sure he was a little underwhelming in those NFC Championship games at times, but again, it just happens. Winning multiple Super Bowls is it's hard to do. That's why you don't see. That's why only 4 QBs. How many QBs? Only 3 or 4 QBs active right now have Super Bowl rings. All right, it's not an easy thing to do, and there's a lot of different parts into winning Super Bowls. All right, but next on the list, Mahomes. I don't even got to speak for nothing on himself. He's seen as the next GOAT. They're putting him on the Tom Brady path. They're saying he's better than the best quarterback they've ever seen. That's what they're talking about. He's won the MVPs. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He's supposed to win. He's supposed to make it to the third. He's a favorite to make it to the dance. And someone like this, someone who you can not have a great defense for the most of his career, and you still feel confident, and he's proven that he can still go out there and win Super Bowls, and he's done that. That is elite, generational type talent. All right, and then you get into the Joe Burrow category. All right, yes, he was hurt this year, but before he got hurt and lost to C.J. Stroud, he was on a 4-game win streak, which is what they needed. All right, and everything was lining up for them to play and make a playoff push. It was exactly what happened. Again, he was the one to take out Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. He won that whole playoff run on the road. The only game they played at home was against the Raiders in the wild card. Boom. Went on the road, won 2 games in a row, went to the playoffs, and he was one decent lineman away from possibly stealing that one away from Matthew Stafford. All right, but again, he's shown you again that he can elevate his team. You don't have to have a great O-line or great a great defense, because he can elevate your team. He can make plays when they need to, and you are going to trust him to be the franchise-changing guy. All right, that to me is elite. All right, and Lamar. The likes of Lamar, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, they are on the verge of being elite, but you have to go out there and win big games. Dak Prescott, the only big notable playoff win he has, is against an old, broken down, below 500 Buccaneers team last year. That's it. All right, that team shouldn't even been there. The only reason they made it there is because the division was so bad last year. All right, and you're seeing more of that again this year. Okay, Josh Allen, again, he had one run where he 13 seconds away from taking out Patrick Mahomes. Hasn't been the same since. Yes, he's won a playoff game, I believe, every year since then. But again, he just has not looked the same. He's continually gets worse and worse when it gets about that time. And so he's just not someone who I could look at and say he is a top 4 quarterback when it comes to elite status. How much do you trust this QB to go win you games? All right. Lamar Jackson, somebody else. Yes, we know he's going to be a big time favorite to win another MVP. He's in the discussion. I shouldn't say in to win it, but he's in the discussion for MVP again. He was the first ununanimous outright MVP in NFL history. Okay, we know that. We've seen what he's done, but again, that year ended again to Tennessee at home. Right, got embarrassed by Tennessee at home, and then next year, yes, you took him out, and then this past year, Tyler Huntley was your quarterback in the playoffs. All right, so you can't go out here and claim elite status if you haven't done anything in the postseason. All right, you want to be considered elite. You want to be one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. You want to be in that top 3 QB range year in and year out. You have to perform in the playoffs. That's the number 1 spot. And this elite QB tier can grow. People can jump in. It can get bigger, but you have to make runs. You have to, show you could win these big games. For Dak Prescott going forward, it's not to finish the season with the 1 seed. Sure, the 1 seed's fun and all that, but it's to win in the playoffs against a half-decent team. You haven't done it yet, and you need to. And this goes with all those QBs on the borderline brink. Trevor Lawrence, he did get his first playoff win, right? And it was against the Chargers, all right, and after he threw 4 INTs, right? So we're going to respect the gutsiness and the just the being mentally ready to go forward and make that comeback, all right? We all remember watching it. I remember watching it. One of the craziest games I've seen in a long time, all right? But again, it's just there's so much that goes into being an elite QB. So when people start throwing out that he's elite, there's not 10 elite QBs in the NFL. There's not. There's not 9. There's not 8. There's 4, and that's it. As of right now, there's only 4. And someone in the likes of Jalen Hurts can fall out of that elite tier, all right, if he just starts not performing the way he should as for years to come, all right. You can go in, you can go out, all right, but as of right now, there are 3 to 4 QBs who are outright elite and in their own category of their own. And then, unfortunately, I mean, Trevor Lawrence goes down with an ankle injury. If you just watch the game, you could see he just got stepped on by his own lineman, and he just bent, and it just not look good. He was taken out of the game and exited early in the fourth quarter, was being helped off the field. Obviously, you've seen the frustration on his face when he did get hurt. And for this Jacksonville organization and this fan base, I mean, you finally got yourself a franchise QB. You've seen him win a playoff game last year, and now you're trying to take strides going forward. You bring in someone like Calvin Ridley, you added pieces to this defense, and you're finally playing good. You were atop the number 2 seed in the AFC, and now you're taking a step back. You're worried, as all these Jacksonville fans should be, about Trevor Lawrence's health. I mean, listen, I have so much confidence in this Jacksonville team. Defensively, they're not great, but this offense, I do have a lot of confidence in Calvin Ridley, someone who I speak very highly of. I do have a lot of confidence in Travis Etienne. All right, he is a great dual threat, not dual threat, but versatile running back. All right, he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, and you've seen that on display today again. But, I mean, this is just such a crucial time to have an injury like this. I mean, if it's a serious ankle injury, like it looks like as he was getting walked off the field, this could be scary for this team going forward. C.J. Beathard being their backup. Again, C.J. Beathard, I mean, yes, you would like to see teams more prepared with having a backup, a somewhat decent backup QB, but it's the way of the NFL. You never know when stuff like this is going to happen. Again, man, I mean, the fact that they were just the top of the AFC, sitting on another playoff appearance, sitting possible 2 seed, it sucks to see for this fan base and for this team. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has not been playing phenomenal this year, but he's definitely been putting it together these last couple of weeks, and it's been looking better. That offense has been looking better. You've seen Calvin Ridley start to get more involved. Christian Kirk as well leaves in the first quarter after his first catch of the game. Again, not something you like to see, losing 2 of your best offensive weapons in the first quarter. One in the first quarter, then obviously Trevor late in the fourth. Again, man, I mean, their next 5 games are not easy by any means. I mean, at Cleveland, then they play at home versus Baltimore. 2 tough games, 2 elite defenses that if you have to go out there with C.J. Beathard, it's going to be interesting. And then you go play at Tampa Bay, then you play at home versus Carolina, and then you go back and finish the year off at Tennessee. But I mean, listen, Trevor Lawrence, for whatever reason, if he's out 3 to 4 weeks, that's 4 possible losses right there. I mean, none of these games are a gimme. Carolina, maybe. Tennessee's just a scrappy team. We know Mike Vrabel likes to just be a hard-nosed team and a team you can't push over. So, I mean, going forward, looking at that, none of these are gimmies by any means. Cleveland, a top defense in the NFL, all right? We know their offensive QB struggles. They can still run the ball, which Jacksonville is a good run defense, all right? But again, they still have some weapons to throw the ball to and spread the ball around. So it can be scary. And then Baltimore, I mean, I've already talked about it enough. Top of the AFC, right? Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate. Mark Andrews obviously is not there right now. Number 1 run offense in the rush offense in the NFL. So I mean, things get interesting because if you go out here and you lose 2 to 3 games, you're sitting after losing tonight. You're sitting at 7 losses before getting to Carolina. I mean, 9-7 doesn't guarantee you anything, and especially with Houston right on your tail, they just won another game. They're sitting at 7 wins. You lose a couple games, they come out and they win. I mean, it puts you in a very difficult situation if or when Trevor Lawrence comes back. And if Trevor Lawrence doesn't come back, then I mean, this whole season could just be a scratch, which would be so unfortunate for all these guys who came in and then just performed this year to get to where they are right now. And again, you hate to see this for any team. I wouldn't pray for this on my worst enemy, but it's just how football is, and it's just an untimely injury. But I mean, going forward, you're going to have to see a very Travis Etienne heavy workhorse going forward. He's definitely going to have to get more touches to get involved. I mean, Beathard in the couple drives he did have, he looked okay. He didn't look spectacular, obviously, but he looked fine. He looked to be in the flow of the offense. Granted, it was late in the game, so it was more of a no-huddle style offense. So it's just like, backdoor football. Go out there, you're in shotgun, and you don't have to do nothing else. Just go make some plays, simple concepts. So it'll be interesting to see going forward, most definitely. San Francisco 49ers absolutely get back on Sunday against Philadelphia. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. Yes, I know Philadelphia was underdogs at home, and San Francisco was coming in with something to prove after the NFC Championship game, but I did not think it would be this one-sided. If you watch this game early, I mean, it looked like it was a one-sided affair. It looked like Philadelphia was going to go out there and just drop 21 straight points, and it was going to get ugly real quick. But again, that San Francisco 49ers defense did not allow touchdowns in the red zone when it came down to it, forced a couple field goals, and next thing you know, they got one score and took the lead. And then all that, that explosive offense and big plays early just resulted in nothing. You were down by one. And then, I mean, this game was just so San Francisco-like. They went out here and just bullied a hard-nosed team. This was ugly. I mean, James Bradbury, obviously, you've heard all the talk. You've heard Deebo Samuel get back and forth to it. And for those of you who didn't know, Deebo Samuel did disrespect James Bradbury this offseason on a podcast. And I am not a big fan of James Bradbury. I don't think he is an elite DB. I do think Deebo Samuel had some truth in that. That his D-line elevated his game, made him seem better than what he really is. And he did get exposed this past weekend, just like the rest of the team. But I mean, listen, when the San Francisco 49ers team is running the ball like this, and then you have Deebo Samuels getting involved, just giving him the ball and letting him be himself, just being a running back playing receiver, I mean, it's a scary offense to look at. And then you have George Kittle doing George Kittle-like things. Then you have Brock Purdy making the plays and just going crazy against this weak secondary who's been exposed already this year and who is a big worrying part going forward for the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, we knew this secondary has not been very good, has been getting exposed in the past weeks, and it all just came together on the worst possible day for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they go out there. I mean, you've seen these ugly wins we continue to talk about, saying that Philadelphia just manages to put wins together, but today they could not replicate those results. San Francisco came out there, put their foot in the pedal with something to prove. Brock Purdy said he was excited for the game, and he played like it. I mean, man, outperformed Jalen Hurts, and again, just continues to build his resume for possible dark horse candidate MVP. I mean, his name's been thrown around in the discussion every once in a while, but having a performance like this, yes, a lot of QBs has had performances like this, but to get the win at the end of the day against the Philadelphia Eagles, however you want to put it, I mean, Dallas Cowboys. I hear a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans. They always talk about how the Philadelphia Eagles are so stacked. San Francisco 49ers are so stacked, right? And then when you match up against these teams and then you come out losing and you still come out with excuses that their team is just better than yours, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to make plays. And as a QB, the ball's in your hand every single play for the most part, 99% of the time. So you have to make the right reads. You have to, check out of certain things, read protections, identify coverages, read who's hot. And just there's so many different things you have to do as a quarterback. So when a quarterback is playing at this type of level, I mean, he deserves his respect. And again, the difference between him and Dak Prescott right now is every time Brock Purdy goes out there and performs, it's against a great team, not necessarily a great defense, but a great team, and it's just great to see for somebody like that, like we all know, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, last quarterback taken, to come out here and put on for himself, put on for the city, put on for the fans. I mean, it was just a dominating football. Do I think the Philadelphia Eagles are no longer contenders after this loss? No, not at all, right? What I think this does prove is that the San Francisco 49ers are just the team to beat. I mean, yes, we seen their 3-game slump where they lost 3 games and Brock Purdy wasn't playing well. The defense wasn't playing well. But that just has a lot to do with the fact that you can't, go 16-1, 17-0 every year. It's just not going to happen. Philadelphia, same thing, 1 loss. They just got their 2nd loss. It happens. You have ugly losses, and that's why you get ready for the postseason and do all these things. I think we're going to see this matchup one more time in the NFC Championship game. Again, Dallas does not want to play either of these teams. I think Dallas would much rather play Philadelphia than play San Francisco. I know Dallas is really hoping they don't have to play San Francisco in the playoffs again. And I don't think any team really does. I mean, there's not many teams that match up with them in the NFC again. So it's going to be interesting going forward. I mean, obviously every game matters after this. Philadelphia and Dallas. Now you are one game apart. You're no longer sitting in 2 games ahead in the driver's seat. And then you're gonna have to play them again in Dallas. So things can get interesting going forward. And it's definitely going to be a tight playoff finish and division finish. What Jordan Love and Mike LaFleur were able to do on Sunday was just phenomenal football. I mean, if you look at how Jordan Love played, he was making all the right reads. He was going through his progressions, and he was just making the right plays. And him and Matt LaFleur are on the same page. They were able to run the ball with A.J. Dillon, which opened up everything else. And then you continue to see the struggles of the Kansas City Chiefs on offense. An inconsistent wide receiver one besides Travis Kelce. Nobody really stepped up to the plate, and you could see that. And Jordan Love, again, it just felt like it was one of those games where if Jordan Love didn't score, here comes Patrick Mahomes again, just doing Patrick Mahomes-like things and taking over this game. But that's not the case. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just looked like he had nowhere to throw the ball to this past weekend. Again, Isaiah Pacheco, a great day on the ground, but it was not enough. And, I mean, at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes needs somebody to come out here and be a number one receiver for him, and nobody was able to do that. But big shout out to Jordan Love and this Green Bay Packers team because after this win, they go on a 3-game win streak. This was the 3rd win, 3-0 in the last 3 weeks, 3-game win streak, and they now put themselves in a position to make the playoffs. Again, the division's tight. Minnesota's hanging around, making some noise. Detroit, obviously the clear-cut division leader as of right now, but they are making some noise for themselves. 2 good wins in a row, and 3 good wins in a row if you really want to count the Chargers. And it's just great to see that they're putting it all together. And again, Jordan Love is just making amazing throws and playing good football right now. And obviously earlier in the year, you've seen him start hot. First 3 weeks, and then he kind of cooled off and just played terrible football. And a lot of people were questioning if he was even going to get the call back for after this next year and get his another contract to try to make some noise as the Packers starting QB next year. And now I think he's put in a good case for him. It clearly seems like him and Matt LaFleur are finally, in sync together on what they want to do and the things they want to do, and emphasizing what needs to be done to succeed and to win games. And they come out here playing aggressive, slinging the ball, using Jordan Love and his strong arm to make some plays and get things going, which just opened up the run game. And overall, they just played a complete game. And then this pass rush was getting after Patrick Mahomes this weekend. Again, 4 sacks by the end of the game, which is just great to see. It's exactly what you need when you're playing someone like Patrick Mahomes. You cannot give him all the time in the world to pick apart your defense, and they came to play. And again, it's just great to see for this Green Bay Packers, this franchise. I mean, they're looking for that next guy after Aaron Rodgers to see who's going to become, take on the throne and take on the ropes over there in Green Bay. And it's great to see that they possibly could have that guy in Jordan Love. Obviously, there's still a lot of football left, all right? Things can go south very quickly. But as of right now, I got to feel confident going forward with Jordan Love and with what he's putting out there on tape and on the field.